Hey everyone, I'm Yelena, 28 years old, and I thought I had my life all figured out. I've been crushing it as a computer engineer at a cutting edge tech startup in the city. We're working on groundbreaking cybersecurity technology that could really change the game. But life, as it turns out, loves throwing curveballs when you least expect it. I was in the break room, grabbing my third coffee of the day, when Marcus, my work bestie, walked in, grinning from ear to ear. Yelena, you're not going to believe this. We just landed that government contract. I nearly spilled my coffee. No way. We've been working on that pitch for months. He nodded, still grinning. Looks like all those late nights finally paid off. We should celebrate. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. It was Tom, my fiancé. Hey babe, don't forget we've got dinner with my parents tonight. I groaned inwardly. Don't get me wrong, I love Tom. But his parents can be a lot. Thanks for the reminder. I'll be there, I replied, trying not to sound too exasperated. Just as I hung up, I noticed another email notification. Another one of those weird cryptic messages I've been getting for weeks now. They always hinted at some big family secret. I tried to shake it off, but something about them gave me the creeps. Later that evening, I found my mom in the kitchen, aggressively chopping vegetables. Mom, we need to talk about these emails I've been getting, I said, showing her my phone. She barely glanced up. What emails? These, I said, scrolling through the cryptic messages. They keep mentioning some family secret. Do you know anything about this? Her hand slipped, nearly cutting herself. It's just spam, Yelena. Delete them and forget about it. But something in her voice was off. Mom, if there's something I should know. She slammed the knife down, cutting me off. Drop it. Why do you always have to dig into things that don't concern you? I stepped back, stunned. Fine, whatever. I'm going to Tom's parents for dinner. Don't wait up. As I drove to Tom's, my mind raced. What was my mom hiding, and why was she so defensive about it? The dinner, as expected, was awkward. Tom's mom kept dropping hints about grandkids, and his dad drilled me with questions about my job stability. By the time dessert came, I was ready to leave. Then, everything went sideways. I took a bite of the pie and immediately felt my throat tighten. Panic set in. I was having an allergic reaction. I could hear Tom's voice, distant and panicked. Yelena, what's wrong? I could barely choke out, hospital. Now. The last thing I remembered was Tom's dad frantically calling 911 as everything started to blur. The ambulance rushed me to the ER, my breathing shallow, my throat closing. Through my fading vision, I saw a doctor approach, glancing at my chart. I'm Dr. Hawthorne, he said, his voice oddly tense. He glanced at my last name and suddenly froze. He stepped back abruptly. Dr. Stevens, take over. I have another urgent case. I wanted to scream, to ask why he was leaving, but I couldn't speak. The new doctor, Dr. Stevens, injected me with something, and gradually, I could breathe again. Just as I started to recover, Tom burst into the room, his face pale with worry. Yelena, are you okay? What happened? I tried to tell him about the doctor who left, but I was too weak. Tom stormed out, and I heard raised voices in the hallway. What kind of doctor just leaves his patient like that? She could have died. When I was stable enough to leave, Tom helped me check out, but I was furious. Something wasn't right, and I was determined to get to the bottom of it. Over the next few days, I used every trick I knew as a computer engineer to dig into Dr. Hawthorne's past. What I found chilled me to the bone. Buried in an old, abandoned social media account was a photo of him, years younger, with his arm around my mother. They looked happy, like a couple in love. I confronted my mom that evening, my hands shaking as I held up the photo on my phone. Mom, who is this man? And don't lie to me. She paled, sinking into a chair. Yelena, I never wanted you to find out like this. Find out what? I demanded, my voice rising. Who is he? She took a deep breath. Richard. Dr. Hawthorne. He's my ex-husband. He's your biological father. The room spun. I felt sick. What? Why didn't you ever tell me? He left when I told him I was pregnant, she said, tears filling her eyes. He didn't want anything to do with us. I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me? I laughed bitterly. He nearly let me die in that ER. And you've been lying to me my entire life. Yelena, please let me explain, she begged. But I couldn't stay. I was already heading for the door. I don't want to hear it. I can't. I can't be here, right? I drove to Tom's place, tears blurring my vision. When he opened the door and saw my face, he pulled me into a tight hug. Babe, what's wrong? What happened? Through my sobs, I told him everything. The photo, my mom's confession, the years of lies. I can't believe it, I said, wiping my eyes. My whole life has been a lie. And that man, my father, he just left me there in the ER. He knew who I was, and he still walked away. Tom held me tighter. You can stay here as long as you need. We'll figure this out together, okay? I nodded, feeling hollow inside. That night, I drifted into an uneasy sleep, haunted by the thought that this was only the beginning. There had to be more to this story, more secrets buried in my family's past, and I was going to uncover every last one of them, no matter the cost. Using every cybersecurity trick I knew, I hacked into old email accounts, desperate for answers. What I found made my stomach turn. Years of hush money payments from Dr. Hawthorne to my mom, along with threats to keep her silent if she ever told me the truth. It was all there in black and white. Yelena, you need to let this go, Tom said one morning, his voice edged with frustration. It's consuming you. I spun around in my chair, glaring. Let it go. My entire life has been a lie. How can I just let that go? He sighed, rubbing his temples. I'm just worried about you, babe. This obsession, it's not healthy. But I couldn't stop. I needed answers. The next day at work, I pulled Marcus aside. I need to tell you something, but you have to promise to keep it quiet. His eyes widened as I spilled everything. When I finished, he let out a low whistle. Damn, Yelena, that's heavy. How can I help? I need to gather more evidence. Can you help me set up some secure channels? He nodded without hesitation. That's why Marcus was my best friend. But as we dug deeper, things got weird. Anonymous threats started showing up. First at work, then at home. One note slipped under my office door, read, "Stop digging, or else." Another warned some secrets should stay buried. At first, I tried to brush them off, but they were getting to me. One night, I showed Tom the latest note. Look at this, I said, handing it to him. His reaction was unexpected. He grabbed the paper and crumpled it up. Yelena, this has gone too far. You need to stop before you get hurt. His vehemence caught me off guard. That's when I started noticing other things. How he always seemed to know where I was, how tense he got whenever I mentioned my investigation. Something wasn't right. With Marcus's help, I set up a trap. I created a fake email account, supposedly full of damning evidence, and left it open on my laptop at home. That night, I pretended to go to bed early, but snuck back into the living room later. What I saw shattered my world all over again. Tom was on the phone, his voice low and urgent. She knows too much. We need to shut this down now. My heart pounded as I stepped into the room. Who are you talking to, Tom? He whirled around, his face pale. Yelena? It's not what you think. Really? Because it sounds like you've been spying on me. Who's on the phone, Tom? Is it Dr. Hawthorne? His silence was all the confirmation I needed. How long? I demanded, my voice shaking. How long have you been working for him? Tom's shoulders slumped. Since before we met. He hired me to keep tabs on you to make sure you never found out the truth. But I swear, I never meant to fall in love with you, Yelena. It just happened. I felt like I was going to be sick. So our entire relationship was a lie? Was anything real? My feelings for you are real, he pleaded. Please, Yelena, we can work this out. I backed away, shaking my head. No, we can't. Later, I sat in my apartment, surrounded by laptops and hard drives, my fingers flying over the keyboard. But instead of letting the pain consume me, I channeled it into determination. They wanted to play games. Fine, I'd show them how it's really done. You sure about this? Marcus asked, setting up the last hidden camera. I nodded grimly. They don't get to win. Not this time. Our plan was simple but effective. Using my tech skills, I created a fake medical file, a patient with symptoms that would require immediate attention from the head of the ER. Dr. Hawthorne wouldn't be able to resist. When he entered the exam room, the cameras were rolling, but instead of a patient, he found me waiting. Hello, Dad, I said coldly. His face went white. Yelena, what is this? This is me getting answers and evidence. What followed was a heated confrontation. Thinking we were alone, Dr. Hawthorne revealed everything: the payoffs, the threats, even hiring Tom to spy on me. It was all caught on camera. That night, I sent everything: the recording, the email trails, years of evidence of malpractice and ethical violations, to the hospital board and every news outlet in the city. But I wasn't done. Digging deeper into his financials, I uncovered a massive money laundering scheme involving both Dr. Hawthorne and Tom. One anonymous tip to the FBI later, and their entire operation came crashing down. I watched from my office as they were led away in handcuffs, their faces plastered across every news channel. My phone buzzed. It was my mom. "Yelena, please, can we talk?" I took a deep breath. "There's nothing left to say, Mom. You made your choices. Now I'm making mine." It wasn't easy cutting ties with my family, but as I looked around at my life, my promotion at work, the support group I'd started for victims of medical malpractice, the quiet dinners with Marcus that were slowly blossoming into something more, I knew I'd made the right choice. Months later, I sat in a courtroom as the verdicts were read. Dr. Hawthorne, loss of medical license, jail time for fraud. Tom, convicted of conspiracy and embezzlement. As they were led away, Tom caught my eye. There was regret there, maybe even a silent plea for forgiveness. I turned away. That night, Marcus and I walked along the river, hand in hand. "You okay?" he asked softly. I thought about it. The pain was still there, but it no longer defined me. "Yeah," I said, squeezing his hand. "I think I am." As we watched the sunset, I reflected on my journey. I had survived betrayal, lies, and manipulation. But more than that, I had come out stronger. The toxic people in my life thought they could break me. Instead, they only proved how unbreakable I truly was. The story ends here, but the conversation is just beginning. What would you have done in Yelena's shoes? Is cutting ties with toxic family members ever truly the right choice? Or should we always leave room for reconciliation? Share your thoughts in the comments below.